Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Gaura Dhawanlal and with me is Aditi Lumba with the evening news. The headlines: Government cuts basic duty on crude palm oil, soybean oil and sunflower oil to contain rise in cooking oil prices. BJP hits out at Congress and other opposition party-led states for not reducing VAT on petrol and diesel in their states. Prime Minister Narendra Modi lays foundation stones and dedicates to the nation various development projects in Kedarnath. India to host Delhi Regional Security Dialogue on Afghanistan on 10th of this month. Cumulative COVID-19 vaccination coverage crosses 107 crore 74 lakh mark. In Bihar, 29 people die in illegal hooch tragedy in Gopalganj and West Champaran districts. International Monetary Fund welcomes India's announcement at COP26 summit on new targets to increase reliance on renewables and reduce carbon intensity. IFFI announces selection of 25 films for Indian Panorama section to be screened during 52nd edition in Goa. And in T20 Cricket World Cup, India take on Scotland in Dubai. New Zealand beat Namibia by 52 runs in Sharjah. As India created history by administering 100 crore doses of vaccine against COVID-19, All India Radio salutes all the doctors, nurses, other frontline workers and all those who got vaccinated and made this possible. Even though the country has achieved this feat, we caution our listeners that the battle against COVID is not yet over. We appeal to our listeners to get fully vaccinated at the earliest and also help others get vaccinated. During the festival season, please follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact the national helpline numbers 011 239 78046 and 1075. And now, the news. The government has cut basic duty on crude palm oil, crude soybean oil and crude sunflower oil from 2.5% to nil in a bid to rein in the continuous rise in cooking oil prices since the past 1 year. The agri cess on these oils has been brought down from 20% to 7.5% for crude palm oil and 5% for crude soybean oil and crude sunflower oil. Consequent upon the above reduction, the total duty is 7.5% for crude palm oil and 5% for crude soybean oil and crude sunflower oil. The basic duty on RBD, palmoline oil, refined soybean and refined sunflower oil has been slashed to 17.5% from the current 32.5%. Before reduction, the agricultural infrastructure cess on all forms of crude edible oils was 20%. Post-reduction, the effective duty on crude palm oil will be 8.25% and crude soybean oil and crude sunflower oil will be 5.5% each. To control prices of edible oils, the government has rationalized import duties on palm oil, sunflower oil and soybean oil. Futures trading in mustard oil on the NCDEX has been suspended and stock limits have been imposed.
BJP today hit out at Congress and other opposition party-led states for not reducing VAT on petrol and diesel in their states. Briefing media, party spokesperson Gaurav Bhatia said BJP-ruled states cut VAT on petrol and diesel after Narendra Modi government drastically cut the excise duty on petrol and diesel. He asked why opposition-ruled states are not reducing VAT to provide relief to the people in their states. Mr. Bhatia said as BJP government is sensitive to the problems of common man and is taking steps to provide relief to them.
अगर भाजपा शासित राज्यों में चाहे उत्तर प्रदेश हो, चाहे वो असम का उदाहरण दिया हो, कर्नाटका है, तमाम ऐसे और राज्य हैं भाजपा के जहां पे वैट में कटौती आई है, तो ऐसा क्यों है कि निर्दयी कांग्रेस की जो सरकारें हैं, जो निठल्ली निकम्मी सरकारें हैं, वो लोग ऐसा ही एक आम जनता से जुड़ा हुआ कदम, ये ठोस फैसला क्यों नहीं कर पा रही? हर पल राजनीति करने वाले ये विपक्ष के नेता जो बार बार कहते थे महंगाई हो गई है, आम जनता के बारे में सोचो, आज जो पहल आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने की है, जो भाजपा शासित राज्यों में मुख्यमंत्रियों ने की है, वो ये लोग क्यों नहीं कर पा रहे हैं?
Petrol and diesel prices today saw a sharp decline as most states have announced VAT cuts. Several states joined the centre in cutting down the fuel rates. On the eve of Diwali, on the 3rd of November, the central government announced a cut in excise duty on petrol by 5 rupees per litre and diesel by 10 rupees per litre. The additional step by states also helped reduce the petrol and diesel rates, which witnessed relentless hikes over the recent months.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi today asserted that India's success is no longer bound by the old ways. He said India is making its forces self-sufficient. Speaking at Kedarnath after laying the foundation stones and dedicating to the nation various development projects, Mr. Modi said Indian philosophy talks about human welfare. He inaugurated the Sri Adi Shankaracharya Samadhi and unveiled the statue of Sri Adi Shankaracharya. At the picturesque holy place, the Prime Minister evoked the great spiritual Rishi tradition of India and expressed his indescribable joy on coming to Kedarnath Dham. Recalling his interaction with soldiers at Naushera yesterday on Diwali, Mr. Modi said he took the feelings of 130 crore Indians to the soldiers. The Prime Minister said today he is on the land of soldiers and in the divine presence of Baba Kedar. The Prime Minister quoted a verse from the Ramcharitramanas.
रामचरितमानस में कहा गया है कि अभिगत अकथ अपार नेति नेति नित निगम कह, अर्थात कुछ अनुभव इतने अलौकिक, इतने अनंत होते हैं कि उन्हें शब्दों से व्यक्त नहीं किया जा सकता। बाबा केदारनाथ की शरण में आकर जब भी आता हूं, यहाँ के कण कण से जुड़ जाता हूं। यहाँ की हवाएं, ये हिमालय की चोटियां, ये बाबा केदार का सानिध्य न जाने कैसी अनुभूति की तरफ खींच के ले चला जाता है, जिसके लिए मेरे पास शब्द है ही नहीं।
Mr. Modi said new facilities like shelters and facilitation centers will ease the lives of priests and devotees and allow them to fully immerse themselves in the divine experience of the pilgrimage. Recalling the Kedarnath floods in 2013, the Prime Minister noted that the damage caused by the floods years ago was unimaginable.
बाढ़ से सुरक्षा के लिए जिस दीवार का निर्माण किया गया है, इससे श्रद्धालुओं की यात्रा अब और सुरक्षित होगी। तीर्थ पुरोहितों के लिए नए बने आवासों से उन्हें हर मौसम में सुविधा होगी। भगवान केदारनाथ की सेवा उनके लिए अब कुछ सरल होगी, कुछ आसान होगी।
The Prime Minister thanked all workers, priests, rural families of the priests, officials and the Chief Minister for relentlessly pursuing the development work at the Dham. The Prime Minister said that he kept monitoring the work through drones and other technologies. He said a combination of modernity with the eternal on this Asian land. These developments works are the result of the natural grace of Lord Shankar. Talking about Adi Shankaracharya, Mr. Modi said Acharya Shankar's life was as extraordinary as it was devoted to the welfare of the common man.
शंकराचार्य जी ने भारत की चेतना में फिर से प्राण फूके और हमें हमारी आर्थिक परमार्थिक उन्नति का मंत्र दिया। उन्होंने कहा ज्ञान विहीन, देखिए ज्ञान की उपासना की महिमा हमारा कितना महत्व रखता है। ज्ञान विहीन सर्वमतेन मुक्तिम न भजति छन्मशतेन, यानी कि दुख, कष्ट और कठिनाइयों से हमारी मुक्ति का एक ही मार्ग है और वो है ज्ञान।
The Prime Minister said a grand temple of Lord Sri Ram is coming up in Ayodhya. Talking about the contribution of heroes of the freedom struggle, the Prime Minister asked the countrymen to visit places related to the glorious freedom struggle of India and the pious places of pilgrimage and get acquainted with the spirit of India. Mr. Modi informed that work is going on at a fast pace on the Char Dham Road project. The Prime Minister said work is going on to build a ropeway to visit Hemkund Sahib for darshan. He said in the next 10 years, the state will receive more tourists than it did in the last 100 years. The Prime Minister lauded Uttarakhand and its people for achieving the target of 100% single-dose vaccination. Our correspondent reports key infrastructure projects which have been completed include the Saraswati Retaining Wall, Ashtapath and Ghats, the Mandakini Retaining Wall, Ashtapath, Tirth Purohit Houses and the Garud Chatti Bridge on the river Mandakini. The projects have been completed at a cost of over 130 crore rupees. Mr. Modi also laid the foundation stone for multiple projects worth over 180 crore rupees. The Prime Minister also offered prayers at the Kedarnath temple. Prayers were offered and celebrations held at 12 Jyotirlings and 4 dhams and many places of faith all over the country, along with the event at Kedarnath Dham, and all events were linked to the main event at Kedarnath Dham.
India will be hosting the Delhi Regional Security Dialogue on Afghanistan on 10th of November. The meeting will be at the NSA level and NSA Ajit Doval will chair it. 2 earlier meetings in this format have been held in Iran in September 2018 and December 2019. The third meeting in India could not be held earlier due to the pandemic. Sources said there has been an overwhelming response to India's invitation. Central Asian countries as well as Russia and Iran have confirmed participation. This is the first time that all the Central Asian countries, not just Afghanistan's immediate land neighbors, are participating in this format. The enthusiastic response is a manifestation of the importance attached to India's role in regional efforts to promote peace and security in Afghanistan. Sources said invitations have been extended to China and Pakistan too, and formal responses are awaited. However, Pakistan has indicated through the media that it will not be attending it. Sources said that Pakistan's decision is unfortunate but not surprising, as it reflects its mindset of viewing Afghanistan as its protectorate. Pakistan has not attended the previous meetings of this format. More than 107 crore 74 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses have been administered in the country so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. The Health Ministry said over 5,65,000 doses were administered yesterday. India reported more than 12,000 new cases during the last 24 hours. The ministry said the recovery rate is currently at 98.23% and it is highest since March last year. In Bihar, 29 people have died in illegal Hooch tragedy in Gopalganj and West Champaran districts of the state. While 17 people have died in Gopalganj, 12 people have been reportedly dead in Betia area of West Champaran. According to the families of the deceased, these men had consumed liquor on Tuesday night. Gopalganj SP Anand Kumar told AIR 19 people have been arrested in this regard. SHO of Mohammadpur Police Station of Gopalganj district and SHO of Northern Police Station of West Champaran have been suspended. Expressing grief over the tragic incident, Chief Minister Nitish Kumar said a thorough investigation will be conducted. He said those found guilty of supplying spurious liquor will not be spared.
जहरीले शराब के बारे में हम लोग बार-बार कह देते हैं कि अगर गलत चीज को ग्रहण करिएगा तो ये नौबत आएगी। हालांकि प्रतिदिन चारों तरफ लोग पकड़े जाते हैं, रेड हो रहा है, सब कुछ हो रहा है, लेकिन फिर भी इस तरह का काम किसी इलाके में कोई कर रहा है, ये तो बड़ी दुखद बात है। पुनः जबरदस्त रूप से अभियान की आवश्यकता है और अभी ये पर्व के बाद हम बिल्कुल निश्चित रूप से हमने मन बना लिया है कि फिर हम इसकी पूरी की पूरी समीक्षा करेंगे और इसको लेकर के जरूर हम चाहेंगे कि एक अभियान और तेजी से फिर चले।
You're listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Government cuts basic duty on crude palm oil, soybean oil and sunflower oil to contain rise in cooking oil prices. BJP hits out at Congress and other opposition party-led states for not reducing VAT on petrol and diesel in the states. Prime Minister Narendra Modi lays foundation stones and dedicates to the nation various development projects in Kedarnath. India to host Delhi Regional Security Dialogue on Afghanistan on 10th of this month. Cumulative COVID-19 vaccination coverage crosses 107 crore 74 lakh mark. In Bihar, 29 people died in illegal Hooch tragedy in Gopalganj and West Champaran districts. International Monetary Fund welcomes India's announcement at COP26 summit on new targets to increase reliance on renewables and reduce carbon intensity. IFFI announces selection of 25 films for Indian Panorama section to be screened during its 52nd edition in Goa, and in T20 Cricket World Cup, India take on Scotland in Dubai. New Zealand beat Namibia by 52 runs in Sharjah. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alert.
आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव के पावन अवसर पर आकाशवाणी समाचार के कार्यक्रम परिक्रमा में बृहस्पतिवार को शाम 4:45 पर सुनिए देश की आजादी में अपना अमूल्य योगदान देने वाले भारतीय स्वतंत्रता संग्राम के सेनानियों की वीर गाथा।
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मात नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मात नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे।
Welcome back to the evening news. The IMF has welcomed India's announcement at the COP26 summit on new targets to increase reliance on renewables and reduce the carbon intensity of its economy, including the adopting of net zero target by 2070. Jerry Rice, Director Communication Department at the International Monetary Fund, IMF, told reporters at a news conference in Washington yesterday that India's actions may help catalyze action in other emerging economies as well as in addressing climate change challenges. Responding to a question, Mr. Rice said that India is currently one of the world's largest emitters, still heavily reliant on coal for electricity generation. India's significant investment in renewables and climate change adaptation policies suggest that it is well positioned to take further steps to reach this new target. He also said that they are heartened by India's focus on achieving progress in the current decade, given the urgent need for global mitigation action. And as with other countries, it will be important to follow through with specific actions to contain emissions over the current decade, he added. At the COP26 summit in Glasgow, Prime Minister Narendra Modi made significant announcements, including the bold pledge of India becoming a net zero by 2070. Besides the net zero target, Mr. Modi also raised India's nationally determined contributions, NDCs, of achieving 450 gigawatt non-fossil energy capacity to 500 gigawatt by 2030. Textiles and Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal has said that time has come to target a 5-time increase in exports of technical textiles from $2 billion to $10 billion in 3 years. Speaking to representatives of the Indian Technical Textile Association in Delhi today, the minister said that the centre would support PLIs for the textile sector in states, supporting development and offering affordable infrastructure for textile manufacturing like cheap land and power.
The government has issued draft mediation bill for public consultation. The draft bill proposes for pre-litigation mediation and at the same time safeguards the interests of the litigants to approach the competent adjudicatory forums and courts in case an urgent relief is sought. As per the draft bill, successful outcome of mediation in the form of mediation settlement agreement has been made enforceable by law. Since the mediation settlement agreement is out of the consensual agreement between the parties, the challenge to the same has been permitted on limited grounds. As per the draft bill, the mediation process protects the confidentiality of the mediation undertaken and provides for immunity in certain cases against its disclosure. International Film Festival of India has announced the selection of films for the Indian Panorama section to be screened during its 52nd edition in Goa. The festival is being organized by the Directorate of Film Festivals of India, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting in collaboration with Goa government from 20th to 28th November. The selected films will be showcased to all the registered delegates and representatives from the selected films during the 9-day-long film festival in Goa. A total of 25 feature films have been selected to be screened during the IFFI. Selected from a wide pool of 221 contemporary Indian films, the package of feature films reflects the vibrancy and diversity of the Indian film industry. The feature film jury, comprising 12 members, was headed by acclaimed filmmaker and actor S.B. Rajendra Singh Papu. As the nation celebrates the 75th year of independence, a series of events are being organized by the government as a part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Now, let's listen to a special program, Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav.
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. India's glorious fight for freedom is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of this. Atul Prasad Sen and Sarojini Naidu, among others, and together they promoted Dadabhai Nauroji in the British Parliament. In 1894, in a stunning move, Chittaranjan Das gave up his lucrative legal practice and plunged headlong into the independence movement against the British colonial government.
Chittaranjan Das successfully defended Aurobindo Ghosh on charges of involvement in the Alipur bomb case in 1909. In his Uttarpara speech, Shri Aurobindo gratefully acknowledged that Chittaranjan Das saved him. Chittaranjan Das was actively involved in the activities of Anushilan Samiti. He was a leading figure in Bengal during the non-cooperation movement of 1919 to 1922 and initiated the boycott of British-made clothes, setting an example by burning his own European clothes and wearing khadi.
C.R. Das was elected as the first mayor of Calcutta Municipal Corporation in 1924. He was a believer in non-violence and constitutional methods for the realization of national independence and advocated Hindu-Muslim unity, cooperation and communal harmony and championed the cause of national education. Chittaranjan Das emerged as a distinguished Bengali poet when, during the troubled days of the national movement, he published the first 2 volumes of his collection of poems titled Malancha and Mala. In 1913, he published Sagar Sangeet, the Songs of the Sea.
Namiye nao gyaner bojha, soite nari bojhar bhar, amar সকল অঙ্গ হাঁপিয়ে উঠে নয়নে তেরি অন্ধকার.
In 1925, Chittaranjan's health began to fail due to overwork. Chittaranjan went to Darjeeling to recuperate his health. Mahatma Gandhi visited him and stayed with him for some days. Deshbandhu Chittaranjan Das passed away on 16th of June 1925.
আজি হৃদয় মোর ছিঁড়েছে বন্ধন.
The funeral procession in Calcutta was led by Mahatma Gandhi, who said that Deshbandhu was one of the greatest of men who dreamed and talked of freedom of India and of nothing else. C.R. Das's heart knew no difference between Hindus and Muslims, and that he bore no ill will to even Englishmen.
প্রভাতে জাগ্রত হৃদি শেষ করো গান আমার জীবন ভরা বিশ্বের আহ্বান।
Today we remember the Lion of Bombay, Firoz Shah Mehta, who died on 5th November 1915. He was born on 4th August 1845 in Bombay and graduated from Elphinstone College in 1864. Mehta went to Lincoln's Inn in London to study law.
After coming back to India, he raised the need for reforms of the Bombay municipal government and wrote the Bombay Municipal Act of 1872, earning him the title of Father of Bombay Municipality. He became the Municipal Commissioner of Bombay Municipality in 1873 and its president 4 times.
Mehta was one of the founding members and president of the Indian National Congress in 1890, held in Calcutta. He published the Bombay Chronicle, which detailed the treatment of Indians in South Africa.
When Gandhi arrived in India, Firoz Shah Mehta presided over a public meeting to welcome him on January 12th, 1915. He died later that year in Bombay. AIR salutes one of the earliest leaders of the Indian nationalist movement.
On November the 5th, 1945, the INA trials began at the Red Fort. The surviving members of the INA were tried by the British colonial government for treason. However, the decision to make the Red Fort trials public proved to be a grave miscalculation on the part of the British, as it led to a new wave of nationalism.
The progress of the trial led to mutiny within the British Army, most notable being the mutiny of the Royal Indian Navy. Although the mutiny was quickly put down, the British realized that they were effectively losing the support of the British Indian Army, the very institution that kept them in power for so long.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
The process of closing the Char Dham doors has started. The doors of the world-famous Gangotri Dham were closed for the winter at 11:45 a.m. today. Ma Ganga ki Doli departs from Ganga Mandir, which will reach Mukhwa tomorrow and will be enthroned in the temple. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today greeted all Gujaratis on the occasion of the Gujarati New Year. In a tweet, Mr. Modi wished that the new year brings happiness, prosperity, health and progress in everyone's life. Home Minister Amit Shah has also wished people on the Gujarati New Year, Vikram Samvat 2078. In a tweet, Mr. Shah wished that the coming year will bring happiness and prosperity for all.
In T20 Cricket World Cup, Scotland have set a target of 86 runs against India in Dubai. Scotland will roll out at 85 and 17.4 overs. Earlier, India won the toss and elected to field. In another match, New Zealand defeated Namibia by 52 runs at Sharjah. Put into the bat first, New Zealand scored 163 for 4 in stipulated 20 overs. In reply, Namibia could make 111 runs for 7 wickets. All India Radio is broadcasting ball-by-ball commentary of the World Cup matches.
And now, we have news from J&K. In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the historic Mughal Road connecting the twin border districts of Rajouri and Poonch of Jammu with Shopia district of the Kashmir Valley has been closed for vehicular traffic following heavy fresh snowfall in the upper reaches near Pir Ki Gali. And now before we close, the headlines once again. Government cuts basic duty on crude palm oil, soybean oil and sunflower oil to contain rise in cooking oil prices. BJP hits out at Congress and other opposition party-led states for not reducing VAT on petrol and diesel in their states. Prime Minister Narendra Modi lays foundation stones and dedicates to the nation various development projects in Kedarnath. India to host Delhi Regional Security Dialogue on Afghanistan on 10th of this month. Cumulative COVID-19 vaccination coverage crosses 107 crore 74 lakh mark. In Bihar, 29 people die in illegal hooch tragedy in Gopalganj and West Champaran district. And in T20 Cricket World Cup, India take on Scotland in Dubai. New Zealand beat Namibia by 52 runs in Sharjah. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.